I wanted to show you this. This is a 2004 Honda Element. This is my favorite SUV and even Honda of all time. I prefer this over like Honda Civics, Accords, you know, with the exception of some Honda S2000s. But I don't usually find myself passionate about SUVs, but I am passionate about the Honda Element because it's such a quirky, fun car, even though it's a SUV. I think people are starting to really love this thing. So today I want to show you around the Honda Element. This color is called Galapagos Green and it's in really good shape. This only has 118,000 miles and you still see the Honda Element all over the road. On the East Coast, indeed the DC metro area where I'm at, these seem to be going for like $5,000 on average, but if you go to the West Coast, California, Seattle, Oregon, these climb up in prices considerably. So you're expected to pay around like $10,000 for the same car over there. And everything is location specific, so a Honda Element in New York might be cheaper than the ones here, so it's really a matter of where you get it and how good it is. This one is in really good shape. One of the interesting features is this. These doors open almost 90 degrees. So the door, by the way, this is made out of hard plastic everywhere. The price point of this was pretty low, that's why they skipped on a lot of this stuff, but that's actually one of the good things about it as well, is that even though it's hard plastic and it's rather cheap, it's very durable. It doesn't tend to like break or rip. There are some issues with Honda Elements that I'm going to show you, but the plastic, even though it's the cheaper type, it actually does pretty well over time. This is a feature that the Honda Element's known for. It's called a suicide door. And it opens, you can see how big this thing is. There's 4 seats only, there's no 5, so if you have a large family, it's not going to work for you. And the inside is made out of rubber. So a lot of people think you can hose the car down with a hose, but you really shouldn't. It's not meant to be drained, kind of like what a Jeep is. It's you can wash it, you know, you can like wash it, but what I like about it is that I can sweep it. And this car was meant for people with active lifestyle, so mountain biking, canoeing, kayaking, any sort of like cycling, running, jogging, so because there's so much space in here to put all your stuff. You can even fit a motorcycle inside of the Honda Element. If you're camping and you're doing car camping, you can have a really nice cross breeze just by having this open. And it's very easy to get in here, and one of the things I like is that a lot of people, when they get this car, they often remove the rear seats because it's so easy to put a full-size bed here, even a single bed, and that way you have space to put like a mountain bike right next to it. So essentially you can sleep in this car, but the seats do fold absolutely flat for camping and sleeping. So one of the things I did cross-country, I actually drove a Honda Civic cross-country and I slept inside, and it's not a very comfortable system of sleeping. If I had this at the time, this would make so much more sense. So even though it's a small vehicle, it's actually shorter than a Honda Accord or Camry. It feels much taller inside because it's got so much space happening here. The floors are this rubber, so you can sweep it. So if you're going to the beach and you're surfing, you can put your surfboard in here, and if you get sand all over, you can just sweep it. So this makes it a good surf wagon. There's people that use the Honda Element as a work vehicle, keysmiths, plumbers, because even though it's a small vehicle, back here you have so much cargo capacity because it's a square. You can open this up like an SUV. And the best thing about this is that if it's raining, you can kind of sit over here and check this out. This is a full-size lift gate from like a pickup truck, and it's hard plastic. So there's plenty of scratches here because at one time people do use this for work, even construction, so people slide things in and out. So it does scratch the plastic, but that's pretty normal. I don't think I've ever seen a Honda Element that's been perfect, but this one's kind of scratched up here. This makes a really good camping vehicle. I mean, it's just perfect for camping, really. You can drive it off-road. It's got all-wheel drive. It's not a perfect system for all-wheel drive. It just kind of gives you a little bit more traction. But there's all sorts of people that put higher lift kits on it and make it a better off-road vehicle. But I don't think it's a perfect off-road vehicle. It's just, you have to be careful. Most of the time people are going to be driving this to a trail. They're going to be perhaps camping off-road, so they're not going to be doing any jeeping. This is not a jeeping sort of vehicle. Also up here you have a sunroof or a moonroof. It actually opens and you can remove it entirely. The idea behind this is kind of interesting because Honda wanted to make it so if you were coming from the beach or you were mountain biking and you wanted to change your clothes, you could actually stand up inside the car by removing this. And when you remove it, you can like put your pants on without getting out of the car. It's kind of ingenious. Another super ingenious thing is that Honda Elements, there is a e-camper. Now the e-camper is rare and it's also very expensive. If you find the Honda Element with an e-camper, you're golden. That's something that's very desirable. And the e-camper has got like a pop-up tent up in the roof, and the way you get into that tent is through the moonroof here, or the sunroof. You would remove it, and of course when you're ready to go to sleep, it just pops up and you climb up on the top and you can sleep up there. It's an ingenious device, and I really would love to have one of those, except they're very expensive. But also another reason that Honda put the sunroof over here as opposed to the front is that, if you are out on BLM land, Bureau of Land Management area, it's like a big desert. Let's say you're sleeping in the car seats, you have the sky up on the top, which is a nice idea because you can kind of glance up at the Milky Way as you're sleeping inside your Honda Element. One of the best things about this car, of course, is the foldable seats. By pulling a strap on the front, you can bring this seat down and look at that. That's your bed. So if I wanted to I think you have to remove this here. You can now pull the seat to the front. You could sleep here comfortably. So this would beat my... Look at this. This is actually perfect. Man, actually this is way comfortable. Actually this is way more comfortable than it doesn't feel uncomfortable at all. This is actually kind of relaxing. I'm 5'9" or so. I can have my body and have plenty of room, and it feels very comfortable. Even though there's a dip here, it doesn't really matter because your feet are really going to be over here. So look at that. This is perfect. Of course, another super benefit of having the seat here is that, let's say you wanted to carry luggage. You can pull a strap over here. So it's a little bit tough with the seat over here, but all you do is take this and you put it up here, and then this folds down. And of course now I can fold my seat back up. I can put into a bed. Seats out of the way, you have plenty of space to put any sort of gear, including mountain bikes that you can put them fully upright. It's kind of an ingenious system. And because it's a rubberized floor, it's very easy to roll things in here. People love this. And another thing I should say is that these seats are easy to move up, but what happens is that there's some people that don't even want the rear seats, so they're easy to remove with just a latch. And you remove this plastic, there's a tab, and you can just pick up the seats and tuck them away. It's really not a complex system. Another thing that I'll say is that there's a lot of hooks everywhere, including one here, one over here. There's another hook over here, another one over here. And the reason, another one here, another one over there. There's just so many hooks because you're strapping things onto the cargo. And when I am transferring motorcycles around, you want that because you're tying a motorcycle to various locations. Same thing with bicycles, canoes, kayaks. This does it all. On this is that you have a little bit of a storage compartment here. And I think most people are going to be using tools and putting stuff here. But over here you have a 12-volt socket, so you can power a generator, charge your computer, that sort of stuff, and you can just put it here. So what I would usually do with this one is that I have a portable battery. In case my battery ever dies, I'll just put it here and I'll leave it charging and push this down, and then you have access to your spare tire. But there are an accessory that you can get for this car that turns this into a table. This is a clip, a hook, so you can tie various things. Over here you have access, very easy access to your shock, and you just pull this and it's a tab that comes out. The rear windows do not open, but they do have this kind of like a pickup truck to let some air in. Seat has lumbar support and adjustability here, but one of the issues is that every single Honda Element, the driver's seat gets pretty torn up over here. So this one is actually not in bad shape, but it's a good idea to get a cover on if you want to hold onto this seat. And it's surprisingly good. This is actually a good seat for a Honda Element, but I've seen them just completely tore up because it takes a little bit of an effort to kind of get into here. You see that in pickup trucks all the time, but the cloth that they use it's waterproof, so it's easy to clean, but the issue is that right over here it just gets too torn. Comes to the driving experience, you don't get this for the driving experience. You get it because it's a very nice car to have. You get it because it's practical. You get it because you can drive this thing cross country and sleep in it, so it can double as a hotel room on wheels. You can tow a little bit with it. You can tow motorcycles. I've seen guys that have towed large campers with it. But it is a 4-cylinder engine. And 4-cylinder engines just don't have that torque for hauling. So if you are into hauling stuff, the Honda Element is not that good, but it does the job with smaller trailers. The controls are very nice in this car. This does have a tilting wheel, steering wheel. Very easy. It's got cruise control and it's got aux lighting, and it's very simple. So you have dials here, you have your tach, your speedo, odometer, fuel, temperature, and then the usual parking, rear, and everything there. You have your controls for the cruise over here. You do have 2 airbags, but this car is very safe because once the doors are shut, it's one of these cars that just feels very safe, and safety ratings have always been good in Honda Elements. On this side of your usual stuff, this is the stock radio, and surprisingly the radio is in very good sound system. The type of car this is, that's kind of like hollow and it's got a lot of size to it, makes the speakers and everything sound very good. And a lot of people that I've seen remove this and they put in like a Android unit with rear view cameras and everything. So most people will remove it. The dials are very easy to use as well. There's 3 big dials. This is really cool because it looks rugged at the same time. The AC does work in this. You can grab a hold of it with gloves, so if you're in the winter or you're skiing and you don't want to use like tiny little handles to modify the heating and cooling in this thing. So this is really nice just for that. The automatic transmission knob is over here. I've had a 5-speed manual transmission, and I thought that having it mounted here would somehow affect the way I drove, but it's very intuitive and it's very easy. Kind of like what you would expect from a Honda. It's just very simple, very usable. Everything works as it should always. That's the beauty of the Honda Element as a camper. You know, I've thought about getting like a Ford E150, and I've wondered, why would I do that? Because I'm sacrificing durability, efficiency, and I can get a Honda Element like this for probably half the price of a E150, and it's going to be much more reliable than a E150 as a camper. Not only that, but the Honda Element blends into the surroundings really well because it is a car. It is a very easy to use car that you can park in the city and no one would ever even know that you're camping in there. People do all sorts of stuff to the Honda Element as a camper. They put blinds, they tint it. I've really thought about it. If I was to drive cross country and let's say a pandemic hit where a virus somehow affected the world and you needed to get away from civilization, this is probably one of the awesome vehicles for it, because you know, you can't really say that you can sleep comfortably in a regular car, but this, if I was homeless, geez, this is a perfect vehicle. Go ahead and start this hog up. This is, even though the engine has got, or the exhaust has got a hole, it's actually broken. It's absolutely super quiet. So the engine, motor, and transmission only has 118,000 miles. And by the way, another thing I didn't mention is that there's tons of portable storage here, even here, and there's also an aux for the radio here, and then there's another 12-volt cigarette lighter there, and then you have your glove box. And up here as well, you sit inside, there's like so much space up here, and it really makes a lot of sense having this car. Up here you also have a storage compartment. It's kind of like a mesh, and then you have your lights, and you have a very large visor with a pull out, both for the driver and the passenger. Very easy to drive car. Like, this thing is just so effortless. This is a really good bug out vehicle. And of course, in the pandemic, this might be the only car that you would ever need.